Hey, welcome back to Corbellic Studios. I'm Corbellic, and today we're going to be breaking down eBay fees and selling art on eBay and the fees that come along with it. Now, this is going to be a touchy subject for some because a lot of times people like to call eBay fee-bay because they feel like the fees are too heavy now, why they're so high, how they've gotten to be so high over the years, and what comes along with it. Now, fortunately, you and I, we're in a situation where our margins are higher, so we can play around with promotion rates. We can play around with the fees that come along with it, but it's just the cost to pay the boss. All right. It's the cost to pay the boss. Yes, we're independent at some sort. We can be more freelance, but don't make no mistake about it. When it comes to doing business with eBay, they're the boss. All right. So let's make the boss happy. Let's show how we're going to do it, but also the fees that come along with it. Okay. Now, when you're going to be selling on eBay, they're going to be taking their cut, which is 13%. Now, it's going to be 13% if you're not a top rated seller, but I showed you how to become a top rated seller. I released a video on that. I'll probably put it somewhere up here where you can learn how to where you can achieve and learn how to achieve how to be a top rated seller and make sure that you maintain that status. It's a blessing that you're here right now and that you're getting this lesson from me because eBay promotes new accounts, fresh health, fresh account, no blemishes on there. On the previous video, I show you how to make sure that your account has no blemish on there. So that way you're able to get a top rated seller as soon as possible. We're talking about next month. And you want to aim for that. The reason why you want to aim for that is because when you're a top rated seller, you're not going to be paying 13%. You're going to be paying 10%. Okay? Let's put that like that. You'll be paying 10% if you're a top rated seller. And that eats up. I mean, some people might be like, oh, it doesn't make a difference, 13%. No, it does. Now, some people say that we actually pay 20% to eBay. And let me tell you, it can get kind of weird. They don't really make it too clean cut when it comes to the fees, but we have more wiggle room, like I said, because our profit margins are higher. We're not going out sourcing product. We're not going out there and looking for electronics, looking for clothing, and then have to figure out what our promotion rate is on top of what the eBay is charging. You have to pay the boss. You have to pay the cost to be the boss, or you have to pay the boss, whichever one you want to take it as. Now, if we were going the traditional route, okay, and we were dealing with an art galleries, they're closing right now. And the reason that they're closing because people can't go there, they can't move the items. Now, art gallery, they're going to be representing at least what 20 or maybe even more artists that they're putting on their wall, and they have to shuffle out the wall of what's being shown or not. So you could be represented by a gallery and they're not selling your artwork because they're not even showing it. And then on top of that, they can have you sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, where you can't even do eBay. You can't even make money for yourself. They have galleries nowadays, I promise you, that are making artists sign deals that you cannot make money outside of the gallery. So they are gatekeeping you right there. But you got a pretty nice wall and a pretty nice place where your artwork is at, but you're broke. What's the point in that? No, no, no. No one's going to take care of you. Take care of yourself. Now, if you're dealing with art galleries, what I said, they got to pay their own bills. They got to pay to keep the lights on. They got to pay for those pretty white walls and the marbling and all of that stuff, right? They got to pay for the events and the parties that people show up, but they're not buying anything. But if your artwork does sell at a gallery, right, which is 3 months, 6 months, you don't even know when it's going to be. I like paychecks every single day. I don't like the inconsistency. But let's just say you have an artwork that sells. They want 40 to 50%. They didn't show up to help you paint. They didn't do anything to help you paint. They lie to you and say that, oh, well, because they have a special black book of customers where that's why. Well, guess what? eBay has the same thing, but eBay has 185 more million of those customers. All right. They have a hot lead. eBay spends $2.5 billion right here just on advertisement every single year. But the best part about why you're paying the 13% when it comes to those advertisements and the fees and the costs is that you don't have to pay up front. If you're doing advertisement, like if you have your own website, like sometimes I have artists come to me and they say, well, I don't want to sell on eBay because their ego is involved, but they'll say, I don't want to sell on eBay. Instead, I'll sell on my own website. Okay, you can do that, but if you sell on your own website, can you bring in 185 million traffic on there? No, you can't. You can't. You can't bring that much traffic in there, and then they're going to hide your listing. You're just going to be like any other artist. Now, it's going to be cool for you to take your link and show it to your friends and family, and you'll put it on Facebook, and you hope that people are going to click on it and buy your stuff, but they're not. You're not bringing the traffic in, and it's just better to pay the cost of doing business. There's nothing free in this world, and for anyone to think that it is free, it's not. And it's not in the golden days either. I've been doing eBay professionally for 6 to 7 years. Okay. I'm coming up on my 7th year. But what I hear is that 10 years ago, it was like the golden time where you could just list anything and you didn't have to do a system that I teach in place now. The only reason I teach this system is because it's so saturated now with people who are trying to, also break free. But what I've heard is like 10 years ago, you could just list one thing on eBay and then it would sell and it would sell for a good price. The economy's not working like that. The AI that's inside, which is called Kissimmee, inside of eBay, it's not working like that no more. Now you have to play the volume game, which I call the lottery ticket, and I talk about that inside the eBay art community. If you want to learn more about that and how you can do this yourself to set things up, click the link below, and you can see how you can get implemented. So you can just pay minimum cost, but you'll be the boss. Now, art galleries, they try to gatekeep you, and they're going to gatekeep you because they have other clients, like I was saying, or they have other people who they represent. So, of course, they're going to try to have them be, uh, more represented. They're going to make sure that they have more of a better relationship with them. And let's just say also, if you're at a gallery and you do make that sale, okay? Most times you're not going to have a personal relationship with that collector. The collector is going to have a personal relationship with that gallery, but not you, where you could build a relationship and you could reach out, contact them, and have a conversation or things like that. I've built up relationships with eBay, and that's just by paying the 13%. But I'm not paying the 13% up front. Like if you have to build your own website, if you have to get your own gallery type of look, and then you have to pay for email lists, you have to pay for a coaching, you have to do all that stuff up front, and it's not even a guarantee. You have nothing to lose when you're doing this because you're only paying the boss after you make the cost. All right, so with eBay, like I said, I was just talking about this. You're only going to pay when you make the sale. How cool is that? I mean, only thing that you have to do is just create the artwork, and then everything else is going to be taken for you as far as logistics. eBay, they spent between last June and this June, they spent $2.5 billion on marketing. Even if you go to a coach or if you go to some gallery, galleries aren't spending $1 billion. They're not even spending $1 million on advertising or anything like that to get your artwork seen. So you could be getting your artwork seen, and then through volume, through the program, and how I show you how to be consistent, you could be making those consistent sales every single day through the auction. They already have 185 million buyers. What does that mean? It means that they have 185 million credit cards that's already linked to the system. What do they try to teach you in sales nowadays? If anybody knows anything about how business works nowadays, they're spinning ads and they're trying to get hot leads. Hot leads means that it's someone who actually wants your product, whatever it is, right? That way they can spend. And I mean, the time on that's it goes from cold lead, advertising more money, to a warm lead. You have to advertise more money to retarget them. And then it turns into a hot lead where they follow up on the email, they come to your newsletter, and then they come to your website. By that time, you already spent money up front just so you can get a customer to look at your art where they're already looking at other art that is the same. It's all saturated out there. Here, on the other hand, they're doing everything up front. You just have to show up and be consistent. It's not about the talent. It's not about how your art looks. It's not about you being the most prettiest and you think it's great. It's about you being consistent and pay them the cost. Pay them the cost by showing up and being consistent. That's how you're going to show the AI algorithm. All right. Then they're going to give you traffic. So here they handle the traffic part where they're bringing people in, but also they're handling the payment processor. You know how expensive that is, especially with how many people are on eBay. That's why I tell people don't just have a free account on there because you're not going to get pushed. You're going to be on the back burner. It's a business. Do you honestly think that they're going to be prioritizing your free account that doesn't even have a storefront, that doesn't even have the newsletters that go out to people, that doesn't even have a carousel on the front, the same way that they're going to prioritize a store that actually is spending for the storefront membership? There's so much benefits that come along with it. So don't cheat yourself when it comes to that. Payment processor, they're also doing the shipping. They signed a contract with Pitney Bowes just so they can save money. You're not paying the same price that other customers are paying if you're just shipping out a letter, packaging, or a box yourself. You're saving so much money on shipping through eBay, and it's so simple. They handle all the processing with shipping yourself. Look, someone makes a purchase, they buy, eBay sends you a link where they say, "Hey, you have to." Well, you go to your seller's hub. This is the people that paid. Print them out a label. You click a button, print label. Oh, combined shipping. Boom, it's already there. Then you print the labels out, all from eBay's server. You don't have to do any guessing yourself. You don't have to do no weight guessing. Everything is broken down for you, especially if you're following the program. Click the link below so you can set these things up for your account. I have a copy and paste system, and you can have all the templates that's in there, everything that's in there. You don't have to there's no guessing game for you. All right. Also, insurance. Nobody even talks about this when it comes to eBay. This is one of the biggest benefits that nobody talks about. People deal with eBay because it's an insurance. What I'm talking about is this. Say if you have your own art gallery, website, Instagram kind of thing, right? And you seem like you're a cool person. You seem like whatever, you got nice art. These people still don't know who you are. They don't know if you're a scammer. They don't know how desperate you are. You might be a starving artist who's desperate, and you can scam them and not send them any artwork. It happens. It happens. Or who knows? Any kind of situation. But when it comes to eBay, they are protected with their art. They are protected with their purchase. They know that when they buy something from you, eBay being the middleman, really being the liaison of the sale, they're going to protect the buyer. And more times they protect the buyer more than they protect the seller, unfortunately. But just be a good seller and you don't have to worry about stuff like that. And if there's any issue, they can show the tracking that's on there and make sure that it was scanned, make sure that it was shipped on time. If the buyer has some type of issue, you set up on your account where I show you so you could be higher up on the algorithm to make sure that you have a money back guarantee on there. So you don't have to deal with the headaches. I don't deal with returns. It might happen, but that's really 1%. It doesn't happen. So don't worry about that you're going to be getting all these returns and people wanting their money back. That's only if you're doing bad business, but we don't do bad business around here. So that's another reason. That's the biggest reason that people deal with eBay is because they're protected. They know that if they do spend $100 with you, $500, $1,000 with you, at least they're protected that if something bad happens, eBay, they have the infrastructure in place. They have the money in place to make sure that they're going to get the cost from you somehow. They're going to get the money, the blood back from you, and they're going to be protected so that it's just not, oh, well, I thought they were a good person. No. So that is the cost of doing business. That's the breakdown of eBay fees. And it's better to do that than any other business. You know, you're going to be getting more higher margins. So if you want to learn how to do that, click the link below, and I'm going to see you in the next video.